Hey everybody, welcome back. Since it is so frigid cold outside and we don't currently have heat in the garage, and I'm not going to stand outside with my skinny rear end out there freezing to death, so I figured now would be a good time to go ahead and take a transmission 700 series Peerless and we will prep it for racing. So I escaped to the basement where it's much warmer. First off, which as you can tell I've already had this one apart, you take the 6 bolts out, hold it on, make sure you save them, and I've got them somewhere in the garage. And you get this case off, top case. Now these transmissions come with a reverse chain. There is a big debate on whether you should run without it. My thing is, I run without it. The reason is, it's not a question of whether if it'll break, but when. And I can tell you right now, if this chain breaks, parts and pieces get in here, guess what? At 40 miles an hour, that transmission's done, and it'll probably throw your ass over the steering wheel. So, better to be safe than sorry. I just toss it all out. You don't need it. This is the shifter fork. It goes in like that. The grease that they pack into this thing is called bentonite grease. It is extremely hard to get out. I mean, not even soapy water can take it off. I've had people say they've used gasoline to clean them real well. They've had good success with that. Some extreme degreaser will clean them out. What I do when I start, of course you got to take all this apart anyway. Try to keep it all in somewhat of an order. Take this out. Take that out. Ugh, nasty stuff. What I do is I take a sack, put your hand inside the bag, and just start scraping. That way it keeps your hands clean and you can get the majority of it out. And it's not so bad. Voila. Of course, I've got a lot more to go. I've had a few people ask, how do you know it's a 700 Peerless transmission? There are several different types of these types of transmissions, which I'm hoping I can get this without my light blinding the crap out of it. Yeah, maybe not. But there's a serial tag just above my finger. This one's an exact 700 model transmission. It says 700025. Now, my other transmission that I've actually got on my CP mower, it is 7280 whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as that number starts with a 7, it can have all X's behind it. It can have all 9s. It can have a jumble of mix of numbers. As long as that first number starts with a 7, this is a 700 series transmission. Of course, I've got that over. This is your output shaft. No, wait a minute, my bad. Sorry, input shaft. When you get it all cleaned up, which I'll have this cleaned up here in a little bit, when you go to clean it up, be very careful with your bushings. These are oil impregnated bushings. What you want to do is wipe these down, which that's got a washer on it. Hang on. There you go. You want to wipe these down the best you can. You can use soap and water on them to clean them, but you don't want to use any type of heavy detergent, or no, you don't want to use like a heavy degreaser, or don't use gasoline on these. Put these off to the side, because if you use gasoline or any type of heavy detergent, or like an abrasive cleaner, what it does is it eats away the oil impregnation in them, and they're just not as good. You don't want to ruin these. Another thing to check for, make sure they're all brass. If you see them that they're silver and all shiny, that is the metal replacement. These are factory. These came factory bushings. A lot of times my transmission on my other mower actually has steel bushings in it, and them are not good. They're good for factory speeds, but when you try to overdrive them like we do, you'll just end up seizing them onto the shaft, and you'll just have all kinds of issues. So it's best to find one that has all 4 of the brass bushings. Put them off to the side, just wipe them down, clean them the best you can. You can take, this is the reverse chain, or the reverse gears. You can take these out, and you don't have to put them back in. Some people like to keep them in there, and other people, they're like, oh, well, you got to put some type of spacer in there. For these, you don't have to. You can just take these, you can do whatever you want with them. You can use them on your fishing pole as line weight, doesn't matter. But you don't have to put them back in, because there's nothing here that's going to be moving back and forth. When this sits in the case, it sits up against here, so there's nothing there that will be moved. Another thing, this one has the 2 shafts. My other one only has a single shaft sticking out the side. Don't use this brake. I know it's very tempting to use it, but don't use it. It's not worth it. What else we got here? When you go to take these apart, try to keep them in order. That way you can put them back in order. These all should have the same number teeth, or at least close to it. I mean, it's pretty hard to mix them up, because there's only one way that they go on. They only fit a certain way. And if you put this gear over here and put this gear over here, obviously it's not going to line up. But what we'll do is we'll get this all cleaned up and get as much of this grease out as we can, and we'll get her scrubbed and kind of get it looking a little better than it does now. So we'll be right back.